The Lord's Prayer you were taught is incomplete, and I can prove it right now using historical documentation that the Vatican doesn't want you to see. 3 words were deliberately removed from the original Aramaic text, not lost in translation, not accidentally omitted, removed with precision and intent. These 3 words unlock what ancient mystics called the monad code, the direct pathway to source consciousness that bypasses all intermediary authority, which is exactly why they had to be erased. Before you dismiss this as conspiracy theory, let me show you something that will shatter everything you think you know about prayer, power, and the deliberate fracturing of human divinity. The prayer you memorized as a child, "Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name." You've recited it thousands of times, in churches, at funerals, before meals, muscle memory at this point. But that version didn't come from Jesus. It came from the Council of Nicaea in 325 AD. 300 years after Christ's death, Roman Emperor Constantine assembled bishops to standardize Christianity, to create one official doctrine, one official Bible, one official prayer. What they created wasn't preservation, it was revision. Political revision designed to centralize spiritual authority in Rome instead of within the individual. Here's what most people don't know. Jesus spoke Aramaic, not Greek, not Latin, Aramaic. A language where every word carries multiple layers of meaning, where single terms contain entire cosmologies. The Greek translation came first. 70 scholars working in Alexandria around 200 AD. They had to convert Aramaic mystical concepts into Greek philosophical language. Meaning was lost immediately, not through incompetence, through impossibility. You could not translate light into sound. You could not translate consciousness into concrete nouns. Then came the Latin Vulgate in 405 AD. Jerome translating from Greek, not from the original Aramaic. Another layer of distortion. Another filtering of meaning through a language designed for law and conquest, not divine union. By the time King James assembled his scholars in 1604, they were working from Latin copies of Greek translations of Aramaic originals that no longer existed in any church archive. 4 linguistic barriers between you and what Jesus actually said. And here's where it gets disturbing. Certain phrases in the Aramaic original didn't just get mistranslated. They got removed entirely, edited out, cut from the text as if they never existed. Why? Because these 3 words revealed something that no religious institution could allow to survive. They revealed that you don't need a priest, you don't need a church, you don't need confession or communion or any intermediary between you and source. The 3 words literally described how to become the monad, the undivided one. The complete fusion with divine consciousness that makes you sovereign, autonomous, and impossible to control through external religious authority. The original Aramaic phrase that was removed appears in the oldest known manuscript, the Peshitta text dating to the 2nd century. Written in Syriac Aramaic, the same language Jesus spoke. In this version, "After thy kingdom come, thy will be done," there are 3 words that do not appear in any modern Bible. 3 words that complete the circuit of divine manifestation. The first word, Dabashmea, translated superficially as heaven, but the actual root means the realm of light vibration where consciousness creates form. Not a place above the clouds, a frequency state where thought becomes matter instantaneously. The causal plane where intention manifests without resistance or delay. The prayer was teaching you how to access that frequency, how to align with the vibration where your will and divine will become indistinguishable, where you stop asking God for things and start operating as a localized expression of God consciousness. The second word, Awaikana, usually translated as or likewise, but the Aramaic root means in perfect resonance with or vibrating at the same frequency as. This isn't comparison, it's entrainment. It's the principle of sympathetic resonance where 2 systems at different frequencies align and synchronize. The prayer was giving you the exact mechanism of manifestation. Let your will be done on earth exactly as it vibrates in the causal realm. Collapse the time-space gap between intention and manifestation by matching the frequency of the source dimension. The third word, Netist Kadash, translated as hallowed in English, which sounds like reverence, like worship, like bowing before an external deity. But the Aramaic root means to set apart as holy by recognizing its true nature. Not worship, recognition. The prayer is telling you to recognize the divine nature of the name. But what is the name? In Hebrew mysticism, the name is the tetragrammaton, YHVH, the unpronounceable name of God. But more than that, it's the vibrational signature of existence itself, the resonance that holds reality together. And here's what they couldn't allow you to understand. The name isn't external, it's internal. It's internal, it's encoded in your breath, in your heartbeat, in the electromagnetic field generated by your heart. When you breathe in, you create the sound Yah. When you breathe out, you create the sound Way, Yahweh. You are speaking the name of God with every breath, whether you know it or not. The prayer isn't asking you to worship something outside yourself. It's instructing you to recognize that you are already breathing the name, that you are already generating the frequency of Source with every heartbeat. The three words together create the monad code, the recognition that the kingdom of heaven is not a distant reward. It's a frequency accessible right now by matching your vibration to the causal plane through conscious recognition of your divine nature. You are the temple, you are the altar, you are the priest and the presence simultaneously. No external authority required, which is exactly why these words had to be removed. The Council of Nicaea understood power, not spiritual power, political power, and they knew that people who access direct communion with Source don't need churches, don't pay tithes, don't submit to ecclesiastical authority. So they did something brilliant. They took a mystical practice of consciousness expansion and turned it into a petition to an external deity. They transformed self-realization into supplication. Look at what they changed. Our Father who art in heaven. Grammatically fine, theologically catastrophic. The Aramaic original, Abun Dabashmaya. Abun doesn't mean father like a parent. It means the originating vibration from which all things emerge. The birther, the source point of manifestation. They made it patriarchal. They made it external. They made it parental, which creates a child-parent dynamic instead of a fractal hologram relationship. You're not a child of God. You're an expression of God, a localized point of consciousness through which the infinite experiences itself in finite form. That's what the Aramaic was teaching. That's what got erased. And hallowed be thy name became a statement of worship instead of a statement of recognition. You're not praising something outside yourself. You're activating the recognition that you are already speaking the sacred name with every breath. The removal of the three words severed your understanding of how manifestation actually works, how consciousness collapses probability into form, how frequency determines physical reality. They replaced mystical technology with religious obligation, replaced direct knowing with faith in external authority, replaced sovereignty with submission, and it worked. For 1700 years, it worked. Billions of people reciting a prayer that reinforces their separation from Source instead of their union with it. But the Aramaic texts survived, hidden in monasteries, preserved by mystics who understood what was being erased. And now, thanks to scholarship and translation work done in the past 50 years, we have access to what was deliberately suppressed. The monad code isn't complex, it's devastatingly simple. Recognize that you are already divine. Match your frequency to the causal plane. Operate from that alignment. Done. No intermediaries, no priests, no buildings, no tides. Just you and Source, operating as one indivisible consciousness. You want to know how to actually use this? How to activate the monad code in your daily life? Here's the practice that was intentionally hidden from you. Practice 1. The breath recognition protocol. Sit quietly. Close your eyes. Focus on your breath, not controlling it, observing it. As you inhale, mentally note the sound Yah. As you exhale, mentally note the sound Weh. You are breathing the name, not metaphorically, literally. Your breath is creating the vibrational signature of Source. Do this for 5 minutes daily. You will notice something shift, a recognition deeper than thought, a knowing that precedes language. You are not separate from the divine. You are the divine localized in this particular space-time coordinate. This isn't belief, this is direct experience. And direct experience cannot be controlled by external authority because it doesn't require permission. Practice 2. The frequency alignment invocation. Instead of reciting the modified prayer, use the restored Aramaic structure. You don't need to speak Aramaic, you need to understand the energetic mechanism. Abun de Bashmaya. Recognize that you are addressing the originating vibration that births all form, not a being, a frequency, and that frequency is within you, not outside you. Nethkadash Shmach, activate the recognition that your breath is already speaking the sacred name. You are not asking for holiness. You are recognizing holiness that already exists. Teitai Malkuthak, your kingdom come, not someday, not after death. Now, the kingdom is a frequency state, and you are calling it into manifestation in your present moment awareness. Nandwaiti Zabianakai Kana Dabashmaya Afbara. Let your will manifest on earth in perfect resonance with how it already exists in the causal realm. You are collapsing the gap between intention and manifestation by frequency alignment. Speak this daily, not as petition, as activation, as recognition, as claim of your sovereignty. Practice 3. The monad dissolution process. The monad is the one that contains the many without division. To become the monad means dissolving the illusion of separation between observer and observed, between self and source. Once per week, practice this. Sit in meditation. Observe your thoughts without identifying as the thinker. Observe your emotions without identifying as the feeler. Observe your body without identifying as the form. What remains when you stop identifying with the content of consciousness? The awareness itself, the witnessing presence, the unchanging observer that has been present since you were born and will be present until this body stops. That awareness isn't yours. You are a temporary expression of it, a localized aperture through which infinite consciousness experiences this particular perspective. Feel into that, not with thought, with direct recognition. You are not a separate self trying to reach God. You are God experiencing what it's like to temporarily forget your God. The monad code dissolves that forgetting, remembers the truth, not through belief, through direct recognition that cannot be argued with because it precedes thought itself. They removed 3 words and imprisoned billions. But the removal reveals the fear. If the words weren't powerful, they wouldn't need to be hidden. The fact that the Vatican spent 17 centuries suppressing the Aramaic original proves that direct access to source is the greatest threat to institutional religious control, not heresy, not apostasy. Direct knowing, because when you know, you can't be manipulated. When you access the monad state, you don't need priests to intercede. You don't need sacraments to purify. You don't need buildings to contain the sacred, because you recognize that you are the temple. This is why mystical traditions across every religion have been persecuted. Sufis in Islam, Kabbalists in Judaism, Gnostics in Christianity. They all taught the same thing. You are already what you seek. The kingdom of heaven is within. Enlightenment is recognition, not achievement, and institutions cannot monetize recognition, cannot control direct experience, cannot tax mystical realization. So they edited the texts, removed the instructions, replaced mysticism with morality, replaced knowing with believing, replaced power with prayer in the modern sense. Prayer is begging instead of prayer, is activation. But you have the code now, the 3 words, the mechanism, the practice, Dibashmaya, the causal realm where thought creates form. Access it by frequency alignment. Icona, perfect resonance between your will and divine will, achieved through recognition that they are not separate. Nethkadazash, recognition that you are already breathing the sacred name, that divinity is your fundamental nature, not a distant goal. Use this, not casually, not as information, as practice, as daily activation, as the reclamation of your spiritual sovereignty. You are not a supplicant. You are a sovereign expression of source consciousness, temporarily localized in this form, having a human experience for the purpose of expansion. The prayer was never about asking an external God to grant you things. It was about recognizing that you and God are not separate, that your will aligned with Source will manifest reality in perfect resonance with the causal plane. This is the monad code. This is what they removed. This is what you are reclaiming right now. If this activated something in you, something deeper than intellectual agreement, share this before they scrub it from the algorithm. The institutions that suppressed these words for 17 centuries are still operating. They monitor, they control, they remove what threatens their authority. Comment below, I am the monad, if you're ready to operate from direct knowing instead of secondhand belief. Subscribe because we are systematically decoding every suppressed mystical teaching, every edited text, every hidden practice that unlocks human sovereignty. The prayer was rewritten to keep you small, dependent, and controllable. You now have the original. You now have the code. You now have the mechanism. The kingdom of heaven is not coming someday. It's accessible right now in this breath through recognition of what you already are. You are the temple. You are the prayer. You are the monad, fractalized into individual expression but never separate from source. The spell is broken. The code is revealed. Your sovereignty is restored. Welcome to direct knowing. Welcome to the monad frequency. The suppression ends now.